Here we go on our Friday edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. We're getting caught up on our 21 question series that you've been seeing on cleveland.com/Brown. So let's get right to it. Mary Kay, what is your latest question?
Well, my latest question is, can Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield flourish together? Can they finally make that magic that we all expected them to make and help this team get further into the playoffs, maybe even to the AFC Championship game and to the Super Bowl? Can they get it done this year? And I mean, if you just look at the numbers that they have produced together so far, they're really not that great. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield together, in terms of his catch rate, he's produced two of the lowest catch rates of his career with Baker Mayfield. Okay. I mean, it's just has not been good. It was 23 out of 43 targets last year. He was on pace to only catch, I think, about 50 some catches last year. That was the pace that they were on together. And then the year before that, it was very, very similar. So once again, he was in the 50s in 2019, 74 catches on 133 targets. Now, I mean, in his years with the Giants, he only had 1 out of 5 years where he was that low. So they just haven't done it together. And then when you look, the number that we always look at is what happened to Baker Mayfield last season after Odell Beckham Jr. left the lineup. And we kind of all know these numbers by now. When he left with the torn ACL in that Cincinnati game, early on in the Cincinnati game, Baker's first pass. After that, Baker went on to throw 16 touchdown passes and only 1 interception over his final 10 games of the regular season. That is a pretty incredible statistic, right? I mean, it's just like, it sends off alarm bells. It really does. But there are so many more factors involved in this. And in its simplest form, I'll just throw this out there and start by saying this. Baker Mayfield was a new Baker Mayfield in so many ways in the second half of the season. And I don't think that was because Odell Beckham Jr. was gone. I think it's because the coaching staff went through all of his plays. They figured out how to give him more play action. They figured out how to roll him out more. They figured out how to use their personnel. They put Rashard on the field more, who was his kind of comfort zone. A lot of things happened that helped Baker Mayfield shine in the new scheme. And I, for one, firmly believe that Odell would have been the beneficiary of the new and improved Baker Mayfield that we all saw down the stretch.
Yeah, I kind of dove into Odell a little bit earlier this offseason, basically trying to focus on how efficient he was and whether or not Stefanski's offense made him more efficient. And like you said, his catch rate was not good. It's never been great. It's certainly not, what Rashard Higgins has been able to do in his career. That's one of the reasons why Higgins is loved so much by a lot of these efficiency metrics like DVOA, and he catches a lot of passes. Odell hasn't been like that, but through 6 games last season, Odell was, and I didn't count the 7th game because he got hurt, like the second or third play.
Right.
But through those first 6 games, he was first or second on the team in targets, catches, receiving yards, air yards, receiving touchdowns, first downs, yards per reception. So he was obviously a big part of what they were doing, and they were getting the ball to him. But then there were some other things that kind of pulled back a little bit, like his yards per route run were way down. He was one of the league leaders when he was with Giants, and that was down. Passer rating for Baker went up last season for him, but again, like you said, his catch rate kind of went down again. And it was just kind of this back and forth. And I came away from that after writing it thinking, well, we clearly need more of this pairing to know for sure. I don't think you can look at last season and definitively say, this made Odell better or worse or whatever the case was. I think we obviously need more, and it's clear the Browns are going to bring him back, and we're going to see more, and we're going to find out. I think this is the year when you probably going to come away with some sort of definitive answer whether or not Beckham is the right fit for Baker or for the Browns in general.